Right, so here we are back at Pisa, and I think you're ready to take on the big scene now, and I'm going to remind you how simple it can be kept. Now I've finished off the drawing and I'm ready to tackle the big sky. So we'll start with the raw sienna wash. I'm going to give a bit of a golden wash over the sky. There are areas of sky that I'm going to want the colour to be fairly deep so that I can show up the whiteness of the marble. We'll have cobalt blue for the sky and start putting that in now while that first colour is still nice and moist. Once the sky's out the way, I'll be able to relax and enjoy some of the detail. Now we can move over and do the sky in the second section, because this side of the page we can treat separately. So we'll put some blue in here. I'm choosing blue on the sky, not exactly where it is in reality, but where I choose to put it. You see how already that gives me that very dramatic outline of all the buildings. I'm going to take the same colour and just use it for areas, large areas of the building that I know are going to be in complete shadow. I'm adding a little bit of Windsor Violet too, and I'll take it mainly on this building because that's going to be pretty much in shadow. I'm going to put it in with little streaks of light. There's another area here that doesn't come into contact with the sky, which is this side of the building, and that's going to be in complete shadow too. So I'm putting in the shadows first, which gives me the instant impact that I'm after. Area here with lovely long arches. And remember, we're thinking shadow first, so although I haven't painted the grass yet, I'm going to continue that lovely long shadow right across here. Now I've done the entire thing so far with square brushes, so I'm going to keep going with the square brushes and get the grass in. It's a lovely fresh sort of lime green, so I'm using a lemon yellow, and I'm just going to go straight in, keep it simple, nothing fancy. This painting's not about the grass, it's about the Leaning Tower of Pisa. Now we'll keep going, because while we've now introduced a bit of quinacridone gold, I'm going to mix that with a bit of permanent rose and get that lovely orangey colour that's on the roof. And again, I can take it through the shadow and it will give me the colour I'm looking for. Let's have a little bit of wall behind there. Let's break that up. You see how that links it in now, which is rather nice. And we'll be able to use the pink in other areas. For instance, there's a door to the cathedral, and I'll pop in, there's a little bit of a fresco or gold something under there. What I can do now is go back in with the same shadow colour I had earlier. I'm into my little round brush now, the size 8. What I can do with this is just begin to get a little bit more of the shadows that are happening inside the arches. We can, even with this colour, start to put in, you know, the scale of people. It's started off lovely and quiet here this morning. I tried to get here before the crowds, but as I paint, I'm seeing lots of little ants. You know, they're all queuing up to get into the cathedral. Look at that, that's amazing. It's just a number of dots and dashes, and we've got a whole crowd scene there already. My method of stick figures comes very handy when we're doing subjects like this. That'll be another little crowd walking across. Okay, we're onto this building at the front. And one of my theories about buildings in the foreground are that just because they're nearer, it doesn't mean to say we have to have a lot of detail. Again, I want to keep it to an absolute minimum if possible. I'm using some of the same colours that I've used already. For instance, the cobalt blue with light red gave me a dark grey. And to that I've added yellow, the lemon yellow from the grass. And that way I'm keeping the colours to the same as is in the painting already. And again with the shadow that I had earlier, which was the cobalt with the little touch of light red, I'm just going to take that across the front of these buildings. And I know my trees are still wet, but I'm just going to take it in there and let it merge in with that. I'd like to add my flagpole. There. That's my little indulgence. Up here, for instance, I can shape that up a little. Get the cross that's on there. Maybe 1 or 2 dots and dashes on here. And I'm just using that little bit of ink for tightening up here and there. And that's enough. I found another lovely scene for us in Pontito, right up at the top of the hill now. And I'm going to have to be fast because it's getting a bit chilly now. I've put on my jumper and the sun's setting, but the light's fantastic. It is at its most exciting now. So I'm going to start with a pink wash and work as fast as possible. And I want to catch the last of the glow, which is very pink in the evening light. So there's only a tiny little corner of the sky. Lovely atmospheric colours that I'm just putting in quickly. I'm going to go for a raw umber for the building. Again, it's another of these stone buildings. It's actually the bell tower of the old church at the top of Pontito. Bring it right down. And up here I'm going to use my little bit of quinacridone again, just to give a little bit more gold to it, because this wall here is very pale. Covering all the big areas. Remember, if you cover your big areas first, then the scary white paper won't get at you. And down here on the pavement, I'm just going to put in a little bit of blue again, so make that a lot cooler. Right, and I think that's ready to go straight in with the next stage, which is to get some of these trees in. I'm going to go for my Prussian. I haven't used Prussian yet, but I want to use the Prussian because it makes a lovely green. Too much, just take it into the corner and then tease it out slightly. Again, Prussian and burnt sienna to give me these delicious instant dark greens. Leave that narrow gap just for the railing, a little bit of negative there. Yep, looking quite convincing now. Okay, that's taken me now into the arch itself, which again is still fairly damp. And I did get a flash of sunlight earlier, just before we started, so I remember that the shadow from the wall comes down here. There's other little parts of the wall which need to be darker now. Some of these edges here, I'm going to pick up some dark opportunity in the old stonework. And it's just perfect for working into now because it's not too dry, which means I can use some of these running edges for picking out some of the stone. And again, picking up a little hint from this wall to show the direction of the stone. Some of the colours are just hinted but slightly more romanticised because I'm strengthening the purples and so on and the turquoises. So although the tree types are changing, I'm going to have a little hint of this coming in here. Again, not too much or it becomes a little bit too repetitive, but you know, just a way of easing your eye back in and taking it through into there. And there's another lovely little feature that I've almost forgotten and it attracted me earlier, was the fact that this has its own soft little steps that are coming down and round here. And from this side, if we take some of the shadow and just ease that in there. And I'm just going to finish off with a pale pink here so that that's not so white. The white's a little bit on the sharp side, but if I just take that across there, it takes the glare off of it slightly. And I'm going to leave it at that. Sadly, that brings us to the end, and I'm going to have to leave you here in Montecatini at the Tettuccio Spa. But if you want to see how I paint this, you're going to have to wait till next time. So hope to see you soon. Goodbye.